Alright, boys, let's get this started. Alright. This is mock draft 1 out of 1. I've been working on this for a couple months now, and it's 2 days before the draft, so finally ready to release it. Let's get started. Alright, so the first pick, obviously, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But, I mean, he had 3,000 passing yards last season, 24 touchdowns, 5 INTs, 8 rushing touchdowns, and 203 rushing yards. In his entire career, he's had a 66.6 completion percentage. He had 69% this year, which is his personal best. He had 90 total touchdowns in his career, 17 in his career. He's had over 10,000 passing yards his entire career, which is absolutely insane. He has almost 1,000 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns for his whole entire Clemson career. It would be stupid not the Jaguars for the Jaguars not to pick him, but because he's a winner, he's athletic, he's got speed, he's got vision, he's got deep ball, and his deep ball is a huge factor into his game. But he has no weaknesses, but I think he could be a possible bust because in the Meyer, he could either be one of the greatest picks in, I wouldn't say in history, but in the past couple of years, or he could be like a Derek Carr or something, which is pretty still solid, or I think he's a Tannehill, because he is unique, he's fast, and he's athletic, because Tannehill also played receiver in college, but Tannehill, in Miami was super, he was not very good, and then when he went to Tennessee, he balled out and took us to the AFC Championship, along with Derrick Henry, but still. That's my pro comparison for Trevor Lawrence. But Tannehill is, obviously, I just said, he did well in Nashville and not in Miami. You could see the same thing on Trevor Lawrence. If that Urban Meyer offense works out, we could see him ball out. But people are comparing him to Andrew Luck and John Elway to be the greatest number 1 overall draft pick of all time. I don't see it. I see he's going to be really good in the NFL, but there's also a possible bust. All right, next pick, the Jets. I think this one's a clear-cut pick, too. It's obviously Zach Wilson. I mean, if you saw his pro day, he launched that ball. It was insane. But some downsides is small school, BYU. I mean, it's not super small, but they didn't really play any competition this year. He's a one-year wonder, possibly. I mean, he is, but, I mean, that could translate to the NFL or something. And he's kind of, cocky, like Johnny Manziel, and he's also not accurate under pressure. But his strong suits are his deep ball's insane. Accuracy, pinpoint when he's not being pressured. He's super fast. His vision's insane. He throws dots like any other person, and he's super confident. This year, he had a 73.5% pass rating. That's just insane. He had almost 3,692 yards, 11 yards per play, which is insane. He had 33 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Insane. I love this kid, and I think he is the highest out of all the quarterbacks to bust, just not because of his skill, but just because of the Jets. But the Jets got a new regime, so we could see that change, hopefully, because I want to see this dude fucking make Pro Bowls all the time. His pro comparison, I have 2. one for bust, one for not. Johnny Manziel, I kind of said that already. And Steve Young, on the other hand. Steve Young, also BYU kid, and I think he can get to his ceiling as Steve Young, because they're kind of unique in their own aspects, and Steve Young would, like, weaved around traffic everywhere. So, and Johnny Manziel, because he's cocky, and yeah, I don't know. That's just how I feel. All right, next pick. My bad. I actually predicted this trade in my mock draft. I've been working on this for months, so I predicted this trade, but this is what really happened. 49ers gave up 3 first-round draft picks, 12th pick from this year, first-round pick from next year, and a first-round pick from the year after that, which is insane. That's like Draft Day the movie type stuff, and also a third-round pick, just to trade up for the third overall pick. And everyone's saying, oh, they're gonna pick Mac Jones. Like, why in the world would you pick to trade 3 first-round draft picks to trade up for Mac Jones? Like, you could have got him at 12, and you could have traded up to like 8 or something to get him. It's kind of ridiculous. But I have perfect fit Justin Fields in that Kyle Shanahan offense. He's gonna excel. It's gonna be great. It's kind of like, I just think he's gonna ball out, and they need to move away from someone like Jimmy G, and Mac Jones is basically Jimmy G, and they need to get to a fast runner who can just sling it, and is super athletic, and I think he would just excel in that offense, and I would pick the 49ers to make a deep playoff run if they make this pick. He had a 72% passing, or 70.2 passing percentage. He had 2,100 yards. He had 9.3 yards per play, 22 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. I think his toughness is insane, which showed just immensely from when he played Clemson, and he had like broken ribs like in the first half, or like, and just got clobbered, and he came back and he just absolutely just dominated that game, and that was awesome to see. And I see a little bit of Dak Prescott in him. I know there's a lot of Dak haters, but I think Dak's the real deal. I don't know why everyone hates on him, just probably because he's a cowboy. But he's kind of like a similar runner and passer to him, and he's got the same skill level. Strengths and weaknesses. He's not a lot of interceptions, which is really good. He's very athletic, very accurate, and he's really good at throwing the run. His weaknesses, though, are his decision making, which could be brutal. I don't know why that's crooked. I'm sorry. He's scared of pass rush, and he's scared and rattled by pass rush. And yeah, I think that's gonna be a great fit. And there, Atlanta. So if Justin Fields is on the board right here, I would honestly pull the trigger if I were Atlanta, because you wouldn't have this opportunity very often to be in the top 4 and have a quarterback class like this, like those 3 quarterbacks. But they're not on the board, and I don't think Trey Lance and Mac Jones are good enough to have this pick. So if I'm Atlanta, Arthur Smith, new head coach, shout out to Cole Hooper, that's his uncle. I think they should pull the trigger on Kyle Pitts. He is by far the best athlete, best non-quarterback in this draft by a landslide. He is a tight end. I mean, he can play receiver. I've heard there's rumors that Julio Jones will get traded, which honestly, hold on to him for one more year. Kyle Pitts, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, I know you have Hayden Hurst, but like Kyle Pitts is unbelievable. He's a stud. Watch that offense just explode. That will be so fun to watch. I know Matt Ryan's not good in the red zone, but man, Kyle Pitts could help. He had 43 receptions, 770 yards. He averaged 18 yards per reception, which is just insane. And he had 12 touchdowns. He is probably one of the best prospects I've ever seen. He's got receiver speed. He always finds a way to get open. He has great hands. He's got hops, good feet, and he's a mismatch. Like, he's going to be going up against linebackers, so they're going to need to put an extra corner on him, and then, like, it's going to be insane. It's going to be my evaluation, or my pro comparison. It's big standards, but Gronk, Tony Gonzalez, and Calvin Johnson. I mean, shit, he's basically Calvin Johnson prototype. He's got the same size. He's 1 inch taller, and he's 21 pounds, or 2 pounds heavier. I'm sorry, and he's 30 pounds lighter than Gronk, and 1 inch taller. He's 7 pounds lighter than Tony Gonzalez. But the upside on this kid is incredible. He could be a poor man's Calvin Johnson, which is saying something. Like, Calvin Johnson's the best receiver this decade by far. And if he never retired early, he even retired early and made it to the Hall of Fame. He's basically a wide receiver. He's just a tight end, and this offense would explode. All right, next, Bengals. So, and also, Kyle Pitts' one weakness is blocking, but that's besides the point. I got an adrenaline rush. I know every single person, especially some kid in my advisory, he thinks that the Bengals should draft Jamar Chase, but look at Joe Burrow's need. Joe Burrow is, you could get Jamar Chase, and you'll have, like, a cool new receiver, but you could, on the other hand, you could have a 6'6", 330-pound, best tackle prospect I've ever seen in Penei Sewell. This dude is insane. Cornerstone. He is just shoving kids all across. And the thing that the Bengals need is a protector for Joe Burrow. You can put him at guard, and then Riley Reif's contract is up. I think it's 1 year. Or if it's a 2 year, you can cut him after. And you can move him to tackle. He's a cornerstone left tackle. He's, probably the best offensive line prospect I've ever seen. Amazing run blocker, and still pretty good pass blocker. Future All-Pro, and he's just got a lot of well-rounded skill. And my pro comparison is Orlando Pace, because, Orlando Pace was insane, like an insanely high draft pick, and he turned out to be insane. So, next pick. This has also happened in real life already. Dolphins trade back to 12, then trade back into the top 6, and they got the 6th overall pick and the 156th overall pick for the 12th pick, a first-round pick next year, and the 123rd pick this year. And with that pick, it's kind of obvious at this point, the Dolphins are picking Jamar Chase from LSU. Insane receiver. You can't pass on this. Tua, get some receivers. I love it. He skipped last season, so that's kind of like a weak point. So he's gonna be kind of, not caught up to speed, I guess. He had in his Joe Burrow probably best college football team of all time, except maybe the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. He had 84 receptions, 1,780 yards, 20 touchdowns for a receiver, and he averaged 21.2 yards per catch, which is insane. strength, he's athletic, he's got the speed, he's a playmaker, he's a mismatch, just everything. He's a little, kind of like maybe 1 inch, 2 inches short. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. And what I've heard is he's kind of a thug. That's just what I've heard. But on to the next thing. All right, so this is the first non-real life trade. And the Cowboys are securing the prospect that they have needed. And they trade up 3 spots and give up the 75th overall pick. And they trade in the 10th, obviously, and a 2022 4th-round pick. And with this, they get the cornerstone on the defense, Patrick Surtain the second from Alabama. He is incredible. Like, this dude, I mean, I think he had 12 passes defended all season, which seems low, but that means no one threw it to his side of the field. And also he has 1 interception and also 1 touchdown. And that was against Mississippi State, Jack Edwards' team. And it was a pick 6. He just jumped that route, took it back to the house. He also has 32 tackles. My pro comparison, it's not great, but it's kind of tough. Jason McCourty or Nassim Asamoah. He played for the Eagles. He played for the Raiders. He's kind of overpaid with the Eagles, if you remember that. But I just kind of compared them because they have like the same size and they're good at man coverage. Yeah, as I said, he doesn't have the stats because no one threw to his side of the field because he was the best shutdown corner in the nation. His strengths are man coverage, great size, great speed, ball skills, and he's a great tackler. And he's so-so in zone, which, I mean, if you get a man coverage corner like this, I mean, that shouldn't really matter. You should just move your defense to adapt to him. All right, we got another trade. You might be like, whoa, what is this? Vikings trading up. They give up the 14th pick and two third-rounders, the 78th and the 90th, to trade up for the 8th overall pick, which is kind of a shocker, but I love this pick to death. The Vikings pick the hometown kid, Trey Lance. He's from Minnesota, and he actually got an offer from PJ Fleck to play safety, but he declined because he wanted to play quarterback. And North Dakota State gave him that opportunity. Now he's going to be a top 10 draft pick. And I love this kid. This kid, I mean, he only played 15 games, or 16, but he played 1 this season. I wouldn't really consider it because he threw an interception, but also, like, it was the only game he played in the fall. And I would not count that at all, like, whatsoever. But in his 1 full season, he had almost 200 completions. His completion percentage was 66.9. He had 2,786 yards. He averaged almost 10 yards per play, and 28 passing touchdowns, and 0 interception, 0 goose egg. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Even if he's playing like North Dakota State type competition, still it's incredible. Like, how do you throw no interceptions? And my comparison is Josh Allen, because Josh Allen came from Wyoming, and I thought Josh Allen should be the first overall pick, and I was kind of pissed that the Browns picked Baker Mayfield. I mean, it worked out, but, you know, I'm trying to think where my Baker Mayfield thing is. Oh, here we go. There's Baker Mayfield. But, I mean, Josh Allen is probably the best quarterback in that draft because I think Lamar is overrated. He's just fast and he can run. but a small school, raw talent. Yeah. His strengths, killer arm, pinpoint accuracy, just like Zach Wilson. He's calm in the pocket. He's fast, mobile, tough, insane. One thing, his weakness is he's raw. One season, and he's from a small school. That's basically it. And also, insane runner. Just kind of like Lamar, but with an arm. He had 1,100 rushing yards and 169 attempts. He averaged 6.5 yards per game and 14 touchdowns. Damn, impressive. For a quarterback that runs, and also had 28 touchdowns, like passing touchdowns, which is insane. All right, next, the Broncos. So most people think Mac Jones is still on the board. Broncos got Drew Lock. Mac Jones is basically is kind of like Drew Lock, and there's no point in him taking him, except Mac Jones is smarter. And I love Drew Lock, and I think he's just not been given a shot, and he just needs to step up this year and ball out. Also, this is the main factor. I think the Broncos will trade for Deshaun Watson. Even though he's got all those allegations, I think they're going to just pass over, and the Texans, if they're not stubborn enough to trade him, I think the Broncos will go after him. But they're not picking a quarterback, so who are they going to pick? They're going to pick Micah Parsons, from a linebacker from Penn State. Dude's insane. Second defensive player off the board. He had 109 tackles, 5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. His pro comparison, Devin White, shout out Carson Meyer, big Bucks fan. He has the same strength as him, same size, and he's able to disrupt the backfield just like him, just like White. His strength, he's sideline to sideline player. It's like boom, 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 kind of like Sean Lee, who just retired yesterday. Good tackler. He can hit stick like a mofo. Insane, fast, and he's good in coverage. One or two weaknesses. He is kind of raw. He skipped last season, and he's kind of, again, a thug off the field. So off the field issues, but a 6'3", 245-pound linebacker coming straight at you. You don't want to see that. It's not fun. Alrighty, the Lions. All right, Lions. I think this is pretty obvious need, but they're gonna pick DeVonta Smith. He is the Heisman winner. He is probably, I think, the best. He's the best college receiver in a single season we've ever seen. And definitely. He had 117 receptions, 16 yards per gain, 1,856 yards, and 23 touchdowns. I know Waddle was out past the Tennessee game, but dude, man, this dude's insane. He's been clutch his entire career. So transition from Alabama to the NFL is gonna be no problem for him. His freshman year, he got the game-winning touchdown in the national championship against Georgia. Amazing from Tua. So insane. And he's had huge touchdowns in the SEC championship and the college football playoff. And obviously, we all know he won the Heisman, and a receiver hasn't done that since Desmond Howard at Michigan when he did the famous Heisman pose. He had 9 games with 2 or more touchdowns, and he had 9 games with 100 yards or more, and he had 4 touchdowns against Jack Edwards, Mississippi State Bulldogs. His strengths, he is a playmaker, insane, like I just said, clutch, impact, explosive. He is fast as fuck. Dude is speedy. He is one of the best receivers I've ever seen. One downside is he's small, and everyone says that. He's 6'1", and I saw he went down to 166. I have in my notes that he's 175, but I saw he went down to 166, which Cody Parkey, who's the smallest kicker in the NFL, shout out Jack Erickson, big Bears fan, he is 160 pounds, which is 6 pounds lighter than DeVonta Smith, which is kind of concerning, but I wouldn't be concerned at all. Alrighty, the Giants. Andrew Sutphin's New York Giants. Alright. They have a couple needs, but I think they need to protect Aaron Jones, and they get Rashawn Slater from Northwestern. It's kind of hard to, talk about linemen, but he's had 37 starts in college. Quick feet, great athlete, very fast for a lineman, obviously. Hand placement's good, pass block, and he can hold blocks. So, some weaknesses is he skipped last year. He's kind of short for a lineman at 6'3", 306 pounds. He has issues with his length and strength. He's not a bulldozer for the run game, which, Saquon can do whatever he wants, so that shouldn't be much of an issue. Pro comparison is Rodney Hudson. Kind of just the same person as him. So, the Giants. Now, to the Eagles. All right. This one might take a while because this player is interesting. Shout out the Bennett twins, my Eagles fans out there, EDP. You're going to pick Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. Second Alabama receiver to go off the board. That receiver room, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, DeVonta Smith. Best receiver room I've ever seen. But Jalen Waddle, kind of like DeVonta Smith, has been playing his entire Alabama career. He had, in 2018, let's just go down the list. 2018, he had 15 games, 45 receptions, 850 yards, 7 touchdowns, 19 yards per reception. He's also a massive returner, so the Eagles can maneuver him like Cordell Patterson or Devin Hester. Average return yards is 16.6. Insane. And he had 7 return touchdowns. 2019, 13 games, 33 receptions, 506 yards, 6 touchdowns, 17 yards per game, and he had 565 return yards, again 16.6 return yards per return, and 6 touchdowns. And then this year, when he got hurt against Tennessee, shout out Frank Hancock, he had 28 receptions, which compared to 13 games for 6, it looked like he was going to blow up the season. And he had 591 yards, 4 receiving touchdowns, averaged 21.1 receptions, which is crazy. 603 return yards. Average return was 19.5, kind of insane. And also 4 return touchdowns. Pro comparison, I kind of just said that. Cordell Patterson, Tennessee receiver, drafted by the Vikings a couple years ago. Also, kind of like Josh Cribbs or Devin Hester, except Josh Cribbs and Devin Hester were mainly returners. And I think Waddle is going to play a major part with Jalen Hurts, his former quarterback at Alabama, in the receiving game. His strengths, fast, like Sonic, deep threat, killer returner, killer, and quick step. He is kind of undersized. He's kind of raw at receiver. It's kind of hard to say, but and he needs better hands, which is something that is a red flag, especially for Eagles fans. And also, he's 5'10" and 183 pounds. Alrighty, now this is kind of obvious if you've paid attention to mock drafts at all, or just know that the Chargers have Justin Herbert. They need a lineman, obviously, so they can pick the best lineman available. Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. He's kind of like Russell Okung, kind of similar build, 6'5", 314 pounds. He is perfect size for a lineman, in my opinion. Quick feet, fast, good athletic, good pass blocker. His weaknesses are he's not that physical, and he's not really a run blocker. But, I mean, they have Austin Eckler, and they're going to be mainly in the pass game. So I think they'll be fine. Chargers going to love this pick. All right. We got to trade. So the Panthers should have this pick from the Vikings, but they trade back, and they get the 17th pick, and they get the 121st overall pick, and the Raiders trade up to get the guy that they want. And that guy would be a guy that they finally, in the past couple drafts, they picked first-round picks that should have been second-round picks, especially Cleveland Farrell. Why the hell would they pick him at 4? It's kind of stupid. I was there when that happened. Raiders fans were not happy. But they're getting an edge rusher, Gregory ROUSSEAU, beast from Miami. 52 tackles, 15.5 sacks. That is incredible. Unbelievable. 2 forced fumbles and 1 fumble recovery. His pro comparison is a guy that the Raiders should have drafted instead of Cleveland Farrell, and that is Montez Sweat from Mississippi State, from Ethan Dallas's Mississippi State. Exact same size. He is 6'6", 260 pounds. Great speed, great athleticism, and great upside, just like Sweat did. His strengths are amazing hands, can read like the lineman. I don't know how you do that, but he does. Great read and react skills, great first step, fast, lots of length, lots of strength, amazing bull rush. That's why he had 15.5 sacks. Amazing upside, just like Sweat did, and a good rip move. But one thing is he is raw. He skipped last year, like a lot of these guys. Could be a one-year wonder. Who knows? And he needs to stay low because he kind of like just rushes high. But it seemed to work for him. We'll see if it works in the NFL. All right. Patriots. If you're a Patriots fan or an Alabama fan to see a quarterback prosper, well, here's your chance. Mac Jones to the Patriots. I think Mac Jones has the best intelligence QB mind since Andrew Luck, and we saw how that turned out. Shout out to William Cook. I mean, man, Andrew Luck was insane with the Colts, and he, rightfully so, was the best prospect since John Elway. And just injuries held him back, but I still think he should be a Colts Hall of Famer. Even though he didn't play super long, unbelievable. He did some crazy things. But Mac Jones, same mind as him. But in 2020, he had 311 completions, 4,500 yards, 77.4% completion percentage, 11 yards per attempt, 41 touchdowns, which has helped Devontae Smith and his other receivers, and only 4 interceptions, which is kind of insane. Pro comparison, Andrew Luck, but also kind of like A.J. McCarron and Kirk Cousins, just skill-wise. I mean, a white Alabama quarterback, and he's kind of like a pocket passer, and I think Mac Jones can either be the new poor man's, or a rich man's Jimmy Garoppolo, or what Jimmy Garoppolo could have been if he stayed in Bill Belichick's offense, or a super, super poor man's Brady, which is, you should never compare anyone to Brady because Brady's the GOAT. And that's coming from a Drew Brees fan. But, like, if he can do, I think he can do what, like, kind of what Brady did in New England. Not Super Bowls, but skill-wise. I think he can return receivers into some superstars, which I love to see. I'd love to see that, even though no one likes the Patriots, but it would be fun to see. He's smart. He's accurate. He's good pocket presence. He throws dots. You saw his pro day. He's good timing, and he's a great kid. And his weakness is he's not a runner, and he's also a one-hit wonder. We saw how he did when Tua got hurt against, again, Mississippi State. It's like my fourth time mentioning them. When Tua got hurt, and then I actually saw Mac Jones, play when he played Michigan, and he looked pretty solid then, but we'll see. I really hope Mac Jones can excel, and I really hope he doesn't get drafted by the 49ers because they would overpay for that. All right, next up, the Arizona Cardinals. You could go a lot of different ways, but with the talent they have on offense, besides running back, which I think it's kind of too early, maybe like a draft running back in the second round, they need to probably go defense. So, and replace Patrick Peterson, even though they signed Malcolm Butler, former Titan, they need to pick a cornerback and J.C. Horn. Dude, insane. He's kind of like Kyle Fuller was with the Bears, which they're stupid for cutting him, but whatever. This is his career stats. He had 101 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles. No one wanted to go to his side of the field, kind of like Patrick saying. That's why they're first-round draft picks. For corners, stats don't really matter. It's how the film looks, in my opinion. His strengths, tough, ball skills, good tackler, physical, no separation. That's why no one threw to the side of the field. And a great run defender. So, all-around, good player. His weaknesses, he's kind of slow. And he will be, and because he's slow, he will get beat by guys like Tyreek Hill. That's just inevitable. But we'll see how that translates. And yeah, that's kind of it. And he's 6'1" and 205 pounds. So, alrighty, next pick. Panthers fans finally got it on the clock. And they're going to pick Greg Newsome. I didn't really know who they're going to pick. So they're probably pissed they're not picking J.C. Horn. And they're concerned about Caleb Farley's injuries. So they're going to go with the safe pick. Not safe, and kind of a reach, but Greg Newsome from Northwestern. He's 6'1", 190 pounds. He had 12 tackles, 1 reception, and 9 passes to defend. Again, no one threw to the side of the field because all these corners in the first round, they're drafted in the first round for a reason, like I just said. He's fast. His strength's fast, physical. Upside is pretty good. Man coverage, and he's got some ball skills. His weaknesses, he's not elite. He can be over physical, so like he can draw a PI, and he's been injured before. Pro comparison, Isaiah Oliver from Cowboys, and he went to Colorado a couple years ago. They have similar build, similar skills, and they're both kind of high rises. So, yep. Alrighty, Dolphins are on the clock for the second time, and what are you gonna do if you've already drafted a receiver for your quarterback? You're gonna pick a lineman, and you're gonna pick Samo Kosim. Kosim, not sure. O-tackle from Texas. Dude's pretty good. He is 6'7", 310. That's pretty insane. I I don't really know who to compare him to, but I compared him to Jake Matthews. Don't know why. Gut feeling, because Jake Matthews is good and his pass blocking is pretty solid. His strengths, pass blocking, quick, agile, and his size is muy bien. His weaknesses is he's inconsistency with being physical. He's not a bulldozer. Surprisingly, for being 6'7", he's not a bulldozer. But yeah, alrighty. So next pick, Mac Jones is off the board. So the football team, or as I like to call them, Redskins, until they pick a new name. Get offended, I don't care. They are, since Mac Jones is off the board, they are going to pick Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I know I got that name spot on. Linebacker for Notre Dame. He had 62 tackles, 1.5 sacks, which isn't great, and then he forced 3 fumbles. His strengths, covers linebackers, fast, Swiss Army knife on defense. He can play safety, linebacker, play anything on defense. Kind of like a bigger Jabril Peppers. But I have him compared to Darius Leonard because they're both really fast. They're really good in coverage, and they have some huge upsides. Because Darius Leonard came from a small school, South Carolina State, if I believe, and he was an All-Pro his first year. He wasn't voted for the Pro Bowl, which is just retarded, but no. So his weaknesses are he's undersized. He can't tackle big running backs like Derrick Henry, so that's good for Titans fans. And Nick Chubb, and because he's 6'1" and 222 pounds. But I like this pick. He's a really good linebacker. All right, Bears fans, Jack Erickson, I'll see you at the draft. From Chicago, the Bears are picking Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. He fell this far because I think he is probably the best corner alongside with Patrick Surtain. I think they're both pretty insane. But Caleb Farley is dealing with, I believe it's a herniated disc, which is what kind of ended Tony Romo's career. But he did not play last year. So he 20 tackles, 4 interceptions, 1 pick six, and 12 pass defended. He also ran a 4.37 40, which is freaky fast. And that's one of his strengths, fast, good size for a corner, man-to-man like Patrick Surtain, plays the ball, and he's very tough. His weaknesses, he's kind of like zone coverage, and injury prone. Pro comparison, Jimmy Smith, because they're both super fast and physical. Jimmy Smith not as fast, but they're both really good man coverage and super physical. And because which is kind of surprising because Farley is fast for a 6'2", 207-pound guy. Like, I wouldn't be. It's kind of shocking that he ran a 4.37. Alrighty, next pick, William Cooks, Indianapolis Colts. Pat McAfee's also. They're picking KWITY PAYE, edge rusher from Michigan. Pretty good. I believe he was a top prospect out of high school, maybe like top 10. Or maybe that was Rashawn Gary from Michigan, who got drafted by the Packers. Sammy Hanahan's Packers. But KWITY PAYE has had 66 tackles and 8.5 sacks in the past 2 years. My pro comparison is Everson Griffin because side, speed, frame, kind of like Griffin, and just like Griffin, PAYE can only fit in like certain places and certain defenses, and I think that the Colts will, I think he'll be a good fit there. His strengths, fast pass rusher, burst off the ball, loose hips, athletic upside, and and he's got a beast motor, so just, quick, fast, boom. And it's kind of raw because I don't remember how many games he played, but it wasn't a lot. And also, he has the talent. He just needs to make something of it. So hopefully he can succeed as an Indianapolis Colt. But hopefully he doesn't have the skills to tackle Derrick Henry 2 times a year. Alrighty, this is the pick that you've all been waiting for. Your Tennessee Titans. And, we have a lot of holes. May go corner, may go receiver. Who knows? We have had more holes coming out of free agency than we did coming in, which is unfortunate. We are going to pick Rashod Bateman out of Minnesota. He is a 6'2", 210 linebacker. He has had 150 receptions, or 147. 2000, this is for 2018 to 2020, my bad. So his entire career, 2,395 yards, averaged 16.3 yards and 19 touchdowns. I kind of see him as pro comparison Keenan Allen, so you guys love to hear that. He's got great speed, great size, and hands just like Allen. His strength, he can find the ball in the air, good size, rack ability, aka find ball in the air, route running, and he's good with 50-50 balls. And he doesn't have mismatch. His weaknesses is he doesn't have mismatch speed, and he can drop some passes, which we don't like to hear, but we need a receiver to replace Corey Davis. But I think he, along with another prospect I'll talk about where, is going to be the steal of the first round, aka Justin Jefferson 2.0, and you guys love to hear that. Rashod Bateman, we better not screw another first-round pickup because Isaiah Wilson is a bitch. Alrighty, Jets, second first-round pick. They need to protect their new quarterback, so rightfully so, they're going to pick a tackle. Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. He strengths, athletic, strong, pass protection, he's physical. His weaknesses, he has bad feet, bad balance, and stiffness, which isn't great to hear on paper, but I think it should work out for the Jets. Pro comparison is Brian Bulaga because he is 6'5", 320 pounds, which is the same size as Bulaga. And when Bulaga was in his prime, aka with the Packers, dude was a stud. So, that's a solid pick for the Jets. Alrighty, Steelers fans, TJ Bradley, Cooper, Wilmot Rossi. You guys might like this pick, but because it is the first running back to come off the board, aka Najee Harris. Ooh. There we go. He, in 2020, 251 attempts for 1,466 yards, 26 touchdowns, average of 6 yards per game. He had 43 receptions. He had 425 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns, and 10 yards per reception. His pro comparison, pretty easy, honestly. Mark Ingram, I think Mark Ingram was drafted 26th, somewhere in the mid-20s. Maybe even 28. I know he's obviously drafted by the Saints. He's one of my favorite players, and I have 3 Mark Ingram jerseys. But they both were, Ingram won the Heisman, and Najee Harris came in 5th, which is ridiculous. He should have came in freaking 4th or even 3rd, because he balled out. And he's just a bigger Ingram, and he's kind of got similar skill sets like catching and physical. His strengths, power rusher. He's got the stiff arm like Eddie Lacy. Acceleration is good. Yards after contact, pretty solid. His cutting, blocking, just like any other Alabama running back. Roll Tide. His blocking is pretty solid. He can play 3 downs. He's got some good vision, and he's got a great first step. But he's not, I mean, he's fast, but he's not too fast. He's kind of like a Derrick Henry power runner. He's kind of like as fast as Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry ran a 99-yard touchdown, so, you know. And he's 6'2" and 230 pounds. Alrighty. Let's see. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock for the 2nd time, and after getting a brand new quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, you're going to draft a lineman. And they're picking Elijah Vera Tucker. Interior lineman, they kind of signed a Band-Aid. It was the center from Baltimore as center, as their new center, which Elijah Vera Tucker is going to probably play center for them next year if he gets drafted, which in my mock I do have him. He's kind of like Kelechi Osemele, old Raiders center, or he's actually played guard, but yeah. He is 6'4", 315 pounds. Strength, he's quick. He can play anything on the line, but I think he should play center or guard. He's got quick feet and he's a run blocker. And he needs to get a little bit stronger and just a tiny bit, and he doesn't have enough length, but I think that's a good pick for the Jags. Alrighty. My Cleveland Browns are picking Zaven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa. We have some good linebackers, but not some like Pro Bowl linebackers. I guess Mac Wilson, Taki, who got the interception against the stupid Steelers in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, Zaven Collins won Defensive Player of the Year in the NCAA, the Nagarsuki Award, it says here. His 2020 stats, he had 54 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 4 interceptions, which he actually took 2 of those 4 interceptions to the house, and one was a 96-yard pick six, which is insane. He's got a lot of strengths and very few weaknesses. His strengths, force turnovers, as we saw, and can just be a playmaker. Big hits, massive hits, Cam Chancellor, KJ Wright type hits. Fast, got hands, as we saw, 4 interceptions. Great size, athletic, good kid, and he's a weak side linebacker. His weaknesses are his vision, which I don't know why I put that, but because he could see, it seems like he can find the ball, and then shedding blocks, so aka pass rushing. So he's going to play kind of like coverage, like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, kind of like him. His pro comparison, KJ Wright, fast, and great cover skills, and can knock shit out of someone. So I think that's a great pick for the Browns. Alrighty, the Ravens are on the clock, and they are finally deciding to help out Lamar. But it's not the way you think. They are picking a lineman. They're not picking a receiver. Just, I don't know. I guess because they got Sammy Watkins, but good pro comparison. Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame, good pro comparison. Mike McGlinchey, both at the Notre Dame. both similar play styles, good tackles. His strengths, quick feet, good length, physical, good awareness, and of course he's a good Catholic kid from Notre Dame. He's a 6'6", 305-pound tackle, but on the other side, his weaknesses, he's not very fast. He's an okay athlete, and he's tough with elite talent. So when you got Clowney and Myles Garrett going against you 2 times a year, pack a punch, you're going to get screwed. Lamar Jackson is going to get sacked, which is really good for Browns fans. Alrighty. I know I've been talking a lot about the Browns, but my real team, the Saints. Family team, the Browns. My team, the Saints. And, man, we were in cap hell, and somehow we finessed our way out of there. But with this pick, we are picking Asante Samuel Jr. It's kind of a reach because I've had people say it would be a reach, but I love this pick. He's kind of small, and he's basically, if you remember Asante Samuel Sr., who played for the Eagles, 2.0, insane. He had 30 tackles last year, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and 3 INTs. Pretty insane. Pro comparison, obviously gonna be his dad. He is literally the exact same weight, 5'10", 185, exact same height and weight as his dad. It's kind of crazy, but it's a perfect match. Obviously, 'cause genes and skill wise, strength, ball skills, great athlete, gritty defender, good tackler, and he's a splash player. He can make some plays. His weaknesses, he's 5'10", so kind of short, and this thing really pissed me off. He is not fast for being 5'10". Like, if you're 5'10" and you're going to get drafted in the first round, the NFL draft, you better be freaking fast. So he better work on that. And he can only play slot corner, which can get those, like, witty receivers, but, I like the pick. Alrighty, on to the Green Bay Packers. And Aaron Rodgers has been praying and hoping for this for a year, and after they made this stupid-ass decision for picking a quarterback last year, which is no fault of Jordan Love's own, but it was just the Green Bay Packers being stupid and not helping Aaron Rodgers. But now, this year, they're picking Kadarius Toney out of Florida, who is basically Deebo Samuel of this draft class. Also, he's kind of Percy Harvin too, because he's explosive, same size, same speed, playmaker. He's 5'11" and 190. He is very fast. He had 70 receptions, almost 1,000 yards receiver, 984 yards, and averages 14 yards per gain, and 10 touchdowns. He is strength, explosive, rack ability, insane, quick first step, phenomenal with separation. His ball skills are really good, and he runs hard, and he can play special teams, which is always good to hear. Kind of like Tavon Austin. If you haven't seen those highlight tapes, I don't know where you've been. He's kind of short, and his durability is so-so. So, we got 3 picks left. Bills, Tyler Lobbs, Buffalo Bills. Pick, probably, if this dude stays healthy, could be the steal of the draft. Jalen Phillips, second edge rusher out of Miami so far. He's 45 tackles, 8 sacks, 1 interception. He is a one-hit wonder, and he's kind of injury prone. He transferred from UCLA to Miami, and another edge rusher besides Rousseau and Phillips is going to get drafted later in the draft, maybe second round. Don't remember his name, but Miami's got amazing edge rushers. Pro comparison, Joey Bosa. He's got some similar size, similar play style, good motor, good well-rounded. Strength, athletic, good vision, speed, good hands, agile. He's got the burst. His weaknesses, again, I said 1 year wonder, and he's injury prone. We just said the hour mark, but probably in editing, it's probably not going to be an hour. Got 2 more picks. All right, this trade happened in real life. Orlando Brown wanted out of Baltimore because they wouldn't play him at tackle, so they traded him to the Chiefs, which is going to be deadly. But I think it's worth it for both sides. Because if you remember, Orlando Brown had the worst combine in NFL history. Just look it up. It was awful. And that's why he fell to the Ravens, and the Ravens capitalized on it. But the Chiefs got Orlando Brown, the Ravens' late 2nd round pick. Whoa. Where did this go? Okay. I'm sorry. They got the 2nd round pick, and they got a 6th round pick, and the Ravens got their 1st round pick, the 94th pick, the 136th pick, and a 5th round pick. So with that pick, they're going to pick not a receiver, but an edge rusher. They're going to pick Azeez Ojulari, edge rusher from Georgia. He had 31 tackles, 8.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. His pro comparison is Brian Burns, because I thought Brian Burns was going to be absolute shit, but he turned out to play well for the Panthers. And people think Ojulari is going to be a bust, but we'll see. Time will tell. Kind of like a mixed bag, boom or bust type player. And they have similar sizes, being at 6'2", 240 pounds. And his strengths, Ojulari's strengths are tough, good motor, good kid, good length. And his weaknesses is he's not fast. He needs to be in the right system, and he is slightly undersized. But for the final pick in the draft, 1st round, the defending Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Thomas Power, Carson Meyer, the only true Bucs fans I know, they don't need anyone. They re-sign every single starter. But if I had to pick someone, they're going to get Travis Etienne. He is Dalvin Cook 2.0. It is kind of crazy. And he also played kind of like Waddle. He has a lot of stats. In 2018, he had 204 attempts, 1,658 yards, 8.1 yards per carry, 24 touchdowns, which is crazy. 12 receptions. Sorry, my handwriting's bad. 75 receiving yards in his first year, so it's kind of bad. And he picked up the pace. Receiving average 6.5, and he had 2 receiving touchdowns. In 2019, he had 207 carries, so 3 more than the year above, but he had less rushing yards with 1,614. He had 7.8 yards per carry, 19 touchdowns, less than the year before. But his receiving game popped up, and he had 37 receiving yards. 37 catches. He had 432 yards. His average was 11.7, and he had 4 touchdowns. And then this past season, so they lost to the Ohio State Buckeyes in the semifinals. Travis Etienne had 108 attempts, which is way less than the 2 years prior. and 914 yards, which is he just fell off a cliff. So if he declared the year before, he could have been a higher draft pick, but still, first round draft pick's a first round draft pick. 5.4 yards per carry, 14 touchdowns. His receiving game stepped up though. He had 48 receptions, 588 yards, 12.3 yards per reception, and 2 touchdowns. Pro comparison, Dalvin Cook, he's got same size at 5'10", 105 pounds. I think it's down to the dime. I'm pretty sure. Same size, same speed. Both can be receiver backs, and both are natural runners. His strength, Travis Etienne's strengths are his fast, good vision, wide receiver skills, acceleration, and he can find the damn end zone, which the Buccaneers don't really have any trouble with that, but still, it helps. And his weaknesses is he had fumbles, which I believe he had 6, and yards after contact. That is the end of my one and only mock draft. Thank you for watching and listening, and Cabe Sports signing off. I appreciate it. Thank you all.